for a second. And we are now live streaming to YouTube. And I can prove it because I will refresh my YouTube app on my phone. I just got a notification that Grace Church is live streaming. And there's our live stream on my phone. There you go. So camera 3 is the one that's picking it up right now. Nope, camera 4. Never mind that. Let's go to camera 3. I'll talk about this in a second. Hello, camera 3. There's a little bit of a delay. That's normal. Oh, delay. Okay. Hello. Pretty soon we should start seeing there's quite a delay. Oh, there's the hand. Yeah. So there's a long delay. There's probably a 20 or 30-second delay. That depends on the speed of your internet connection. We have a business internet connection here at church, but our download speed, so the speed that we get stuff from the internet, is fast. But the speed that we push stuff out to the internet is slow. It's about half as fast as our download speed. That's normal. Your home internet connection is probably like that too. But the speed, the quality, the speed, and the delay of our live stream depends on how fast we can push data out to the internet. You don't have to worry about any of that. I mean, that's kind of my problem. Whoever's running the internet stack in the office, they'll be thinking about that. But you can tell that this is in good shape because you can see what camera 4 is seeing right now. It says we have an excellent connection, and this says we are on the air. So we are on the air. If I was smart and remembered the disk, I would have a disk plugged in, and I would make sure to also push record. So recording and live streaming are actually two different things. They're handled by the switcher, but it's two different steps, really. Because the recording gets saved on the hard drive, and the live stream goes up to YouTube. YouTube does save the stream indefinitely, unless we decide to delete it. So it is on the internet. We don't have to upload to YouTube because we already live streamed. But we do need that recording in order to make a DVD for our shuttles and an archive for the office. We make 2 DVDs, but I'll go over that at the end. That's like the very last thing. So that's how we start a stream. That's how we start service. We went over sound. We went over turning on the computer. Well, now we're live streaming and pretend that we're recording. At this point, I would switch back to my PowerPoint. I would go back to my first slide, and I would push the F5 key or slideshow start show. And now we are back to our announcements, and people are milling about, and Will is playing the prelude, and it's getting recorded and live streamed, and everyone is happy. Now, we'll go over the actual, like, what does Bruce or Paul do during service with the cameras and the switcher? Because that's another thing. That's why it's great to have 3 people back here. Minimum of 2. You can't. I would say it's not realistic to expect one person to handle all this stuff. It's a lot to remember. Can it be done? Sure. Will it be great? 2 people is the bare minimum, because you could conceivably have somebody here running the PowerPoint, the PC, and the switcher. But that's a lot. It's a lot for this person. I guess you could kind of like flip a coin and decide who's going to run this, but really 3 people is what you want. If you don't have 3 people, you make sure to bring your roller skates. You're going to be busy. So live streaming. So we've got, camera work. So we've already started our recording. We've started live streaming. Service is ready to go. We only use, during service, we really only use, 4 buttons during service. And 3 of them are really button number 1 shows YouTube and the recording, whatever is on the screen. So this is input or video source, right? So this switcher can handle up to 4 video sources at a time. singing a hymn, we put the verse of music to whatever hymn we're singing on the projector. And when we press 1, everyone at home can see just that. So 1 is PowerPoint taking up the whole screen. Number 2, we don't use at all. Nothing's plugged into video source 2. It's just health card cell. So 2 doesn't have anything in it. Video source 3, we call camera, we just call this camera 3. So when you're facing the altar, camera 3 is on your left, camera 4 is on your right. So camera 3, camera 4. There is no camera 1 or 2. It's just 3 and 4. So I'll just one more time. 1 is PowerPoint, 2 is nothing, 3 is left camera, 4 is camera 4 on the right. If we were looking at our preview and our program, preview and program are pretty much the same thing. They just help. So like this will help whoever's running the camera frame the shot. Like if I want the cross right in the middle, I can use these guides to frame my shot. If you're a perfectionist like me, you spend entirely too much time fiddling with this. So now the cross is right in the middle of the frame of camera 4. If I wanted to go wide and see the congregation, I would go to camera 3 and switch them around, and this is what we do. We switch the cameras. When we're singing a hymn, we go to number 1. But I'm going to pull up an order of service. So just like the person who's running the sound, the person who's running the camera should have an order of service in front of them too, so they can anticipate what's going to happen next. So this is more of an art than a science. You'll get a feel for it as you go, but the trick is knowing which camera you're on, and then framing your next shot with the camera that's not running. Right? So what I like to do, and everybody has a different philosophy on this. I like to pretty much leave camera 4 alone. I don't mess with it much during service. This camera here is for my wide shot, so that I can get pretty much everything. You know, is there a law that says this has to be wide? No, this is just the Bruce method. This is how I do it. Once you feel more comfortable with it, make it your own, right? You frame the shot how you want to frame the shot. But what I do typically is camera 4 is wide, and camera 3 is the one that I call it tight because I frame the shot tight. But 3 is the one that I'm moving around all the time. So at the beginning of service,
How many buttons are on the top there?
just one slider. So there's a slider to go, if you bring it to the left to zoom out, to the right to zoom in. Here, I'll bring it camera 3. So this is what they see. Actually, this is what they see on YouTube right now. But it says test. And no one's watching. But if they were, they would see this. So left, right. See that?
You'll just want to play with it a little bit.
Yeah. So play with it. You'll get used to it. But this is, so I tend to manipulate camera 3 quite a lot. And I pretty much leave camera 4 alone, unless I'm feeling like extra fancy that day, or extra brave, or extra foolish, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But when service is starting, Will is playing the prelude, and announcements are playing. This is when I'm going to bring in our 4th button that we actually use during service. It's called Picture in Picture. So, picture in picture. That's when you're watching a YouTube video and you see either a little person in the lower right-hand corner or you see some text with some instructions. Picture in picture looks like this. So we've got our program and we have the PowerPoint in the lower right-hand corner. There's a button right up here. It's not labeled because we have it covered up. There's like some buttons that you never want to mess with because we've got it covered. Don't worry about that. So just to the right of the buttons that are labeled do not touch, there's a little on and off. That's for the picture in picture. That's what it's actually called. Once you've been back here enough, Paul, you might be sweating like crazy, so I'm gonna turn the air
Where's that?
on. That's what I did. Okay, so, we went over camera 3 and camera 4, we've got the Magic Kingdom up on PowerPoint right now. We want to show that to YouTube, it's Lady Liberty. I'm going to turn picture-in-picture on. So now, our viewers at home and our viewers in the future watching on the recording will see whatever is on camera 4, this camera 4 is selected, plus the PowerPoint, which is automatically set to 1. You can change it in software, it's very language deep. We've got it set to 1, just so you know. But we don't have any reason to change it. So one quirk is that when you change to a different camera, it will drop the picture-in-picture. That's Paul's preference. Paul kind of drives the boat back here. I defer to his preferences. He has the most experience back here. That's how he has it set, and that's how he would like to leave it. But just so you know, when you switch between camera 4 and camera 3, the picture-in-picture will automatically turn itself off. That's normal. But if say you're on wide and the picture-in-picture is on, and you want to change to a closer shot, so now I want to see Pastor at the altar. Oh wait, I want the liturgy up. You got to turn the picture-in-picture back on. It's just a little thing. It's just a little quirk to remember. Picture-in-picture does not follow the camera, and that is normal. Nothing's broken. Okay. So let's pretend we are at the beginning of service. I am on my wide shot, which is on camera 4. I pretty much just have it zoomed all the way wide, which is all the way zoomed out, right? So from now on, I'll call it wide and tight. Wide is big, tight is way up there, close to Pastor. So wide and tight. Yep, exactly. So I'm gonna leave my wide shot pretty much where it is. I really don't mess with it much during service, if at all. So that's camera 4. People are coming in, they're milling about, they're visiting together. We're lighting candles. All that stuff's happening, and it's normal to have the wide shot of service with the picture-in-picture on. If there's nobody here, or if for some reason you don't want to show the sanctuary right this minute, like sometimes you'll get someone parked right in the shot, visiting with their neighbor, they're leaning over and you're looking right up someone's nose or something like that, and you're like, I'm just going to, and then you put the announcements on. Right. Rather than going, can you get out of my shot? No, just put it on the announcements, right? So, and then when Bruce and his family move out of the way, you can put it back on camera 4 and put the picture-in-picture back on. So people who are viewing at home can feel a little bit more like they're here, right? That's the idea. You see people milling about, it's a real church service. So that's welcome and announcements. That's prelude. Prelude, sometimes I will do some stuff where, you'll see me move the camera a little bit. I'll go back to wide, frame my next shot. Sometimes I'll do stuff like that, but you don't really have to worry about that.
Also, you can crop shots before it gets the
Bingo. Bingo. I'll go over that a little bit more in a second. But usually at the beginning of service, before the welcome and announcements, it's usually just your wide camera so you can see the whole congregation, and make sure your picture-in-picture is on so that our friends at home can see the announcements, right? Because that's part of what they're tuning in for. They want to know what's going on in church. So I want to make sure announcements are always visible, whether it's camera 4 plus announcements or just announcements. Announcements should always be there during the break. Make sense? Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay.
I'm trying to remember before the service. What you see on the screen are the announcements. Is that what's recording necessarily?
Yeah, so whatever is on the PowerPoint presentation, which usually whoever puts together the PowerPoint will make like the first 15 or 20 slides, will just be announcements.
And they're timed.
And the announcements are timed. And this is up to whoever's putting together the PowerPoint. That's not really part of today's training. That's Joan's area of expertise. Paul's. I am really bad at PowerPoint. I do not want to learn PowerPoint. It's like clip art, Comic Sans. Like my Ivory design is terrible. But the first 15 or 20 slides are going to be your announcements. And once we start the announcements, we started our live stream about 15 or 20 minutes before the prelude starts, because we want to make sure the prelude is on the live stream and recording. Those announcements will cycle just like this is automatically. When it gets to the last announcement, whoever's running the PowerPoint will usually click the home key and go back to the beginning of the announcements. So they'll sit. So when service, there will always be somebody back here before service, and whoever is back here looking at this computer, they'll look at it and they'll go, oh boy, it's been stuck on that slide for a long time. Oh, I should cycle back to the beginning of the announcements. Home. They'll bring you back. If you're more of a numbers person, you can say 1, enter, and it'll go back to slide 1. Usually I just click home. Home is the first slide. So click home and it'll bring it back to the beginning. Does that help? Okay. We've already started our live stream. PowerPoint is up and ready to go. We've been watching the announcements. Will finishes playing the prelude. Sound person has flipped on the switch for the bell. We're letting it warm up. Ding. Pastor Clay starts walking down the center aisle. And normally we would still have camera 4 wide with the announcements down in the corner. So here is a program. This is what YouTube sees right now. It's just the sanctuary plus announcements. Pastor Clay, you will see Pastor Clay walk down the center aisle, and while he's walking, you're framing your next shot, right? You know he's going to be standing approximately on that first step right in front of the altar, and good morning, Grace Lutheran Church. Good morning. A warm welcome to one and all, right? You've already got him framed on camera 3. He's usually pretty good about not moving on the frame. He's pretty good about that. If he's in a walking mood that morning, maybe bring it back to 4 and go wide. Frame your shot a little bit more wide so you can catch him, then go back to 3. So we wanna have Pastor Clay as close in your tight shot as possible. Sometimes he moves around a little bit, but what we don't want is chasing him with the camera, right? This is really jarring. Like, it looks kind of silly when I'm doing this right now, but if you're watching at home, especially on a small device, if he's up there and he moves a little bit out of the frame and I go, hey, very jarring. It totally ruins the mood. So if Pastor Clay is really wiggly that morning, go wide, frame your shot a little bit better, then go back to 3, make sure your picture-in-picture is on. So it's a lot of back and forth, frame your shot, 3, picture-in-picture. 4, picture-in-picture, frame your shot, while wide, so wide is on the recording. Wiggle as much as you want, see camera 3 is going nuts. Okay, I'm happy with that. 3, go. That was a fast demonstration. It won't normally be that chaotic. But if you're on camera 3 and your shot isn't quite right, if you're doing if you breathe on this thing, you will see wiggles on the frame. It's like, so that ideally the camera you're manipulating is not the one that is programmed. So right now, 4 is a program camera, frame the shot. Sometimes I do like to get Will in the shot while he's playing the prelude. Sometimes I'll do this. Go to camera 3, announcements. That's the program. So our folks at home, or our folks on the recording can see Will, working the manuals.
Didn't realize how dark the Firelockt is.
Firelockt is really, really dark. I don't think
No, that's all on.
that's all on. Yeah.
But the camera or the light record camera is for
Yeah, that doesn't help our case. Doesn't help our case. So sometimes I like to bring Will the time, I just leave 4 alone. It's already on my wide shot, 9 times out of 10, that's what I'm gonna want. I just leave that one alone. When I need to frame my next shot, so like, okay, so he's done, he's done behind the altar, he's done the confession of forgiveness, the Apostles' Creed, prayers of the people, the Lord's Prayer. Now it's time for the Old Testament lesson. Please be seated for today's reading. Pastor Clay is going to move out of the frame, go wide again. Whoever's doing the reading will make their way up to the lectern. Lighting person, bring up the lectern, bring down the pulpit. And then whoever's running the camera will frame their shot on the lectern. When they're in position, go back to camera 3, put the reading on picture-in-picture. It's just a lot of change the camera, picture-in-picture. Change the camera, picture-in-picture. It's just that motion pretty much over and over and over again. It's just a matter of which camera you're currently on and which shot you have
You have to be an expert like Bruce, in my
Well,
opinion,
You're too kind.
because I've only done it twice, and I can't imagine trying.
We have had 2 people back here before. So there was one Sunday, or maybe it was for a funeral. And then it was a funeral. It was just me and Paul back here.
Well, again, you have 2 experts
He
that do it all
ran-
the time, right?
He ran sound. He ran sound and camera and lights and bell, and I ran PowerPoint and set up live stream. So like it can be done, but you're gonna be busy. You're gonna be busy, and particularly at a funeral, right? Because it's a different order of service, so you really have to be like really paying attention. But in any case, I've got my tight shot. We're watching, we're looking at who's doing the reading. Today's reading is from Joshua chapter 1, starting at the 9th verse. They read the Old Testament lesson and the epistle. When they're done, please stand as you're able for the gospel acclamation. When we go to the gospel acclamation, switch to 4, picture-in-picture on, so that folks at home can see the gospel acclamation, they can sing along. We see our Old Testament and epistle reader person coming back. Pastor Clay is getting in position while he's doing that. You're framing camera 3 when he's where he needs to be. Then you go to camera 3, picture-in-picture. Today's gospel lesson is from the book of Matthew, starting in the 5th chapter. Praise be to God, right? You framed up your shot, and it's pretty much going to sit on Pastor Clay while he does the reading. and now it's time for our children's sermon. Camera 4, and usually there's nothing like there is a picture-in-picture for the children's sermon, but it's usually just like a clip art, of some kids playing or something.
It's the song, number songs.
Right, yeah.
So,
So when it's time for the children's sermon, I will go to my wide camera. I will turn on the song. Jesus loves the little children, right? That's going to be on the picture-in-picture. Can you leave it on the whole time? Sure, but usually what'll happen is all the kids are making their way to the front. You're framing the next shot on your tight camera, which is going to be approximately right there, right? You'll get a feel for that. Then you go to camera 3 and watch and listen to the children's sermon, right? Before Maddie starts speaking, you're going to bring Maddie's mic up to unison. She's going to turn on, right? So it's a lot like that's why 3 people are there. You have 1 person on camera, 1 person on sound and bell, 1 person on PowerPoint. Maddie's doing her thing. I'm not gonna do this much longer. I do just want the point that I'm trying to drive home is anticipating be aware of what camera you're on. Anticipate the next shot that you're setting up after the children's sermon. We're going to go to the message, right? Pastor Clay is giving his sermon, or about to give his sermon. Children's sermon is wrapping up. Kids are coming back. We go to camera 3. There's a nice shot of Pastor Clay with today's question. Here's a quirk about the camera 3. Pastor Clay wears white vestments, right? The wall right next to Pastor Clay is also white. This camera has an auto brightness adjust. When wall and the white vestments, it brings the lighting way, way, way down. You won't be able to see much. Like, it's gonna happen to you the first time you run the camera. If it does happen to you, like, you know, nobody's gonna bite your head off if you wiggle the camera a little bit to get it out of frame. But what we want is just a nice tight shot of Pastor Clay with him a little offset, so that, right, here's today's question. Here's Pastor Clay, and the white wall is out of the frame. So the white wall out of the frame. We have tried 8 ways from Sunday to get it to cooperate with us. It doesn't.
Make the banner long.
There you go. If the banner was longer, I mean, like we could, right? Because we don't really use the numbers on the wall much anymore, you know? But anyway, word to the wise, try and keep that wall out of the frame. If it's in the frame, the brightness level will go, you know, like the program will get darker. And it'll be like, what's going on? The sun didn't go down. It's a bright sunny day. What's happening? That's why. Because white vestments, white sunny wall equals auto brightness craziness. And you can pretty much leave it on camera 3 for the whole, I mean, obviously the whole time Pastor Clay is giving his sermon, it's going to be right there. You can sit and listen. That's the point where everybody back here gets a little bit of a break. Because we don't need to adjust sound, we don't need to adjust cameras, PowerPoint is on one spot, we don't need to advance. So the 3 Musketeers back here can just sit back in their chair and listen to the sermon. Pastor Clay says, you know, Amen. Today's sermon hymn, the church's one foundation. Then oftentimes I'll go to one show, just the hymn. So that's the trick about the hymns, right? Put yourself in the shoes of whoever's watching at home. What would I want to be on the screen if the congregation is singing a hymn? Usually it's just going to be whatever. It's just going to be the PowerPoint, because we copy and paste the music and the words to the hymn in the PowerPoint. So when it's on the video source, everyone who's watching the recording can see the words and follow along. In a perfect world, whoever's over at the PowerPoint is advancing to the 2nd verse and the 3rd verse and the 4th verse, so on and so forth, until the hymn is over. And then the hymn is over, I'll go wide. Pastor Clay is getting into position for what's next. Preparation for Holy Communion on a Communion Sunday. Go to camera 3. This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance. Right? He's doing the invocation and all the communion stuff at the altar. We're on camera 3. Usually there will be a communion thing, so picture in picture. It's just a lot of switching and being aware of what's going on. So honestly, in my opinion, the hardest part of all this is working the cameras and getting the next shot right. That's the hardest part of it. So that's kind of why I spend the most time on it. But really, once you do it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Camera 4 is wide. Camera 3 is close up.
So why don't Joan and I go up front,
Okay.
and you let each of them give a whirl at each of the cameras.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Thank you, Steve. Steve volunteers as tribute.
Why,
So-
we're walking up front.
I will be the light person, so they're walking up front here on camera 4, and they're going about, and actually you want to get your frame. She's pretending to be the reader, so frame your camera 3 for the lector. I'll bring up the lector level. We would bring down so light person, pulpit down, lector. Hello, lector. Okay, you are. Yep. So, and yeah, well, no, actually, we've been leaving it pretty much what it is.
Is that light where you would put it during the service?
Yes.
Because Nelson said something to me when he called me and said there are some people that think that light is way too bright in their eyes to try and read.
Oh, so like.
It never bothers me, but today it does. There.
Hang on. Hang on.
You're going to cover my face? Come on.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Right there. No. Right there. Up. Just a little. Right there. It doesn't stop when you want it to stop,
No,
but
it never stops where you want it to.
okay, that's what's going on with that, yeah.
Okay, so now it's framed just right. So the frame, not that you need to know this, but it's a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, because that's what the computer is. So that's 16 by 9 up there. Sue is ready to do her reading. Steve, you're on the correct camera. You've got your picture-in-picture. Way to go. I might even bring that shot just a little bit tighter. Well,
Really?
Again, well, you're a professional. You know more about photography than I do. So anyway, all right, well done.
Sue would look better a little bit lighter.
Okay, so I'm doing the lector,
Yep.
and I'm reading the Old Testament lesson, which we're reading responsively.
Yep. Okay, looks good. And then whenever, hang on. All right, and then whenever you're ready, please stand for the gospel acclamation.
And then I'm reading the epistle lesson, and stand in body or spirit for the reading of the gospel.
Holy, holy, holy Lord. We're framing up our camera 3. Lighting person is flip-flopping the lectern and the pulpit. Pastor Clay is ready to read, and bingo. Looks great. So, camera 3. Steve, oh, very nice. You are being live streamed right now, by the way. That's okay, we can delete it. All right, Steve, you passed. Thank you. Want to give it a whirl? All right, Boyd's in the hot seat. So normally, all right, what are we doing? So normally what we would do is, so camera 4, it corresponds with this one. That's usually what I call the wide camera. Camera 3 is the tight camera. Picture-in-picture is right up here. That one, you got it. So now your picture-in-picture is together with your wide camera, which is camera 4 on your right. So at this point, do you want to flip-flop again? Joan, why don't you sit in pastor's spot, and then Sue, you can come up like you're going to read the Old Testament reading again. Lighting person.
Okay, I'm going to do the Old Testament reading,
Yep. And then,
which is Psalm 23, and we're going to read this responsively.
camera 3.
And the
picture-in-picture.
epistle lesson
Nice.
for today is Ephesians 2, 11 through 22. And I read to the end, and it says, "In whom you are also built together spiritually into a dwelling place for God." Here ends the reading. Please stand in body or in spirit for the reading of the gospel.
All right. Wide shot. Frame your tight angle. Try and get that white wall out of the frame as best you can. And then when you're ready, camera 3 and lighting person if he was awake. There we go. Fabulous. Who's that? Oh, looks like. There you go. Oh, you got it. Yeah, nice. Oh, is that my kids? What?
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing here. Hang on.
They're trying to say it's.
Is somebody locked out?
Yeah, we'll let you. Oh,
Telling you that it's fine to come up with something bad.
my troublemakers are here. I don't know.
Mama's there too.
Yep, I think Mama brought them on a bike ride and they decided to come.
Wait, we're saving you all.
What?
In 2 hours.
I know. Okay.
So
Boyd,
Jamie,
That's,
okay.
so does anyone else want to try the camera? We've got 3 that are,
Oh, Luther's here too.
Joan, do you want to come give the camera a try?
No, I've done it.
You've done it? Sue, you want to give it a whirl?
No, I'm okay.
No? Okay. So everybody who wants to has run the camera. We did the live streaming. We've done sound. The last DVD. Do you want to go over the DVD tonight?
No, otherwise you or I will have to do it, and that's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You and I have kind of been alternating. What I think we should do is, because you're typing up like a little
Yep,
checklist.
I got a checklist.
Maybe when all said and done, we can just add the DVD instructions to the checklist. Sure. They get the DVDs. It's a pretty easy. Okay, so now service is over. We're ready to be done with everything. Will is playing the postlude. We're doing the camera stuff. Usually I just leave it on a wide shot when the postlude is happening. When everything's done, you don't have to do anything fancy here. You would stop the recording by pressing the stop. So just like where we did the recording before, hit stop. Live stream,